love noodles. And on one sunny day, my friends and I decided to have a noodle party when we were in high school. So because my high school was actually an international school, I had the privilege to attend a study abroad program which is located in Armenia. And that high school actually has students from more than 60 nationalities. And in a way, it's very similar to what we have here at APU. It's like APU, but like high school style. So my friends and I decided to have a noodle party. So a noodle party is essentially where, you bring instant noodle from your own country, because every one of us coming from different countries, we cook the noodle together and share it with each other. And my friends were actually from Nigeria and Bhutan. So as I am from Indonesia, does anybody would like to take a guess what instant noodle that I'm actually bringing? Yes, that's correct. I'm actually bringing Indomie. And I'm very proud to bring Indomie to the table. And not long after, my Nigerian friend actually came, and as I was passionately waiting to taste and know what an instant noodle from Nigeria actually looks like or tastes like. But guess what she's actually bringing to the table? Yes, that's correct. She's bringing the exact same instant noodle brand to the table, which is Indomie. And we were both very shocked and surprised to know, and we're like questioning each other why both of us are bringing the exact same instant noodle brand, even though we're like thousands of kilometers away from each other. I am from Indonesia and she is from Nigeria. She was like, wait. I always thought that Indomie is from Nigeria. It's apparently very, very popular in my country. And then I was like, nope. Indomie is definitely from Indonesia. It's in the name, Indomie. And in case you're wondering, it's actually from Indonesia. And in many ways, this very small interaction, this story, will always be a reminder for me how our life experiences, things that we grow up with, really shape our understanding towards the world. To her, growing up, she will see Indomie in supermarket aisles and advertisement on the street, and she grew up believing that Indomie is actually from Nigeria. And I guess my understanding on where Indomie comes from actually derived from the same origin. I grew up eating it, begging my mom to cook it for me, because we can only eat instant noodle on the weekend, right? And secretly bought it with my friends. And even up until today, I have a huge pile of Indomie stacked in my apartment. And if we didn't have this noodle party, I probably would have never known that Indomie also exists outside of Indonesia, and apparently very popular too. And she also will probably grow up believing that Indomie is from Nigeria. Now, in a lot of ways, especially for many of us, we grow up with a very fixed set of reality. We often live in a bubble of reality that we crafted or others have crafted for us due to our cultural or even educational background. And too often, we believe that we're kind of like unique in a way. Now let's talk a little bit about identity, because how unique are we actually are? So this is the total amount of the world's population by today. There are 8 billion of us. And in a way, because I'm from Indonesia, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my identity. And Indonesia's population is actually about 278 million of us. And it's still a lot because we're the 4th most populous country in the world. It means that there are about 3.49% chance of being born as Indonesian. Now, to make it to narrow it down a little bit further, Indonesia's population is about 278 million. And my family background is actually Chinese Indonesian, which is an ethnic minority groups in Indonesia. And it narrows it down to about 8 million of us. And there's a 3% chance of kind of like, being born as a Chinese Indonesian. Now, what makes it even more interesting in my case, in my identity, is that I was born in the very west of Indonesia in a city called Aceh. Now, not a lot of people know about this, but Aceh is actually a religiously conservative province where we have a population of about 5 million people. And therefore, the rate of double minority like myself becoming a Chinese Christian living in Aceh, where 99% of the population is actually Muslim, becoming very, very slim. And the rate of double minority like me are comparatively very low in comparison to other regions of Indonesia. And that brings me about, maybe about 1% chance because the rest of the 99% are identified as Muslim. Now, it is so low that oftentimes my fellow Indonesians are very shocked and surprised to know that there are Chinese Christians actually living in Aceh. And the conversation will usually go like this. An Indonesian student or like my friends will come up to me and be asking, so where are you really from? From Indonesia. And then I'm like, do you want to take a guess? I usually make it a riddle. And then they'll start naming big cities like Jakarta, Bali. And then I'm like, nope, I'm actually from Aceh. And then they're like, wait, what? Really? Like Aceh? I'm like, yes, Aceh. I was born there. I grew up there. I spent my entire childhood there. In fact, my family still live in Aceh up until today. Now, in a lot of ways, I always ask the questions to myself on what are some statistical probability of something to actually happen to me. And if we look at the statistics, we feel so insignificant that there's only one of us out of these 8 billion people in the world. Now, if you actually Google search Aceh, something like this will come up. And because we are a conservative province, we still do Sharia law, and that's correct because you'll read descriptions such as Aceh being a conservative Muslim city, and that's correct. But there are also a fact where in 2004, we are actually the epicenter of the earthquake and also tsunami, which is often what described as one of the most deadliest earthquake in history. And my family and I happened to be one of the survivors back in 2004. Now, moments like this makes me really believe that I feel so insignificant, that I could have simply vanished into numbers, but I'm still here today. But there are also moments in my life where I feel like maybe there's something that I can do in my own capacity to create change and to maybe make a little difference. Last April, back in 2023, I took a leap of faith and applied for a summit. And I actually was selected with the 5 other Indonesians to represent Indonesia in the Y7 Summit. So Y7 Summit is a short for the G7 Youth Summit, which is an official engagement group for youths coming from different backgrounds, coming from, in this case, the G7 countries, where we're actually able to make policy proposals and present it in front of Prime Minister Kishida of Japan. And at that moment, I feel like it was such a big milestone for me personally, because this is the first time in my life I was able, in my own capacity, to give voices to people that often goes unheard, to represent not only my country, but maybe myself, my community, and the ethnic groups that I grew up in, to a big event like this in the Y7 Summit. Now, my story matters, and yours too. If there's something that I would like all of us to get out from this talk, is to believe in the power of an individual and to celebrate the vast majority of network that we're placed in. To ask questions and be ready when the answers are not aligned with what you have hoped for. And to consistently place ourselves in a learning zone outside of our comfort zone, where our opinions are challenged, our facts are checked, and our perception of reality is called different. It takes me one experience to know that Indomie is apparently very popular in Nigeria. And it takes others one experience getting to know me as a Chinese Christian living in Aceh to go outside and to challenge their perspective of what they have been so attuned to what the media have told them. And maybe it takes one idea to make a difference. Now, in the world of 8 billion people, one person may seem very statistically insignificant. But we are much part of a larger community and part of a bigger interconnected web of humanity. And our actions and decisions really ripples through this web, affecting others and contributing to the collective human experience. Now, the significant and insignificant of one are not mutually exclusive. One of us can be unique and an impactful individual, but also a single entity in a broader constellation of humanity. So, this talk, I hope that you can see the unique strength that you possess. You are able to share it with others, and also learning from each and every one of us to challenge our perspective each and every day. We're so blessed to be able to study here in APU, where it is actually a home to more than 100 nationalities. And I can only imagine the faces and like the stories that each of us carries are much more interesting if we are able to take a look deeper, if we're able to ask more questions to each other. My name is Sherly Budiman, and this is my story. What's yours? Thank you very much for listening.